Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from here in Taiwan. I'm Leslie Liao. 16 Taiwanese lawmakers made a trip to China in late April this year. And civil defense experts from Ukraine are warning that trips like these could compromise Taiwan's national security. We'll dive deeper into this issue with our guest later, but first, let's take a look at a report which shows us what Ukrainian experts think on the matter. Our reporter Jaime Okan has the story.
Here at this forum in Taipei, civil defense leaders from Ukraine are teaching people here about the lessons they've learned in fighting against Russia's invasion of their country. It's organized by the Kuma Academy, one of Taiwan's largest civil defense groups, and it's part of an effort to educate as many people as possible on what to do in a war.
For the civil defense, we usually focus on first aid or evacuation. But in this new kind, the new form of hybrid warfare, it's quite crucial that we need to focus on first the information space, the cybersecurity part, and also disinformation.
Along with fighting disinformation, there are also calls for Taiwanese civilians to learn more about first aid and using small arms, skills that will help them form militias that can work with the military. Ukrainian analysts who are just on the front lines say that any help goes a long way.
It's really important in case of bombing, what you will do if someone will be injured. So no panic, just when you know how to use tourniquets and everything. This is even morale. It's important when you know what are your steps. Instead of fear, you have to be prepared.
You can watch the full report on TaiwanPlus's website. Today in the studio, we're joined by Kateryna Muzlova. She's the co-founder of the charity foundation Heart in Action Ukraine, and she was one of the experts present at the summit, sharing her experiences in defending Ukraine against Russia. Kateryna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So let's zoom in first, and let's talk about what you're doing here in Taiwan. What is it that brought you here?
It was very not expected for me when Kuma Academy invited me here, and it was a big honor because I can share my experience from the war. And as a daughter of a defender of Mariupol, I have some view how civil defense and how civilian people can protect and be prepared for anything what can happen with them, because before the full-scale invasion in Ukraine, I was just civilian. I didn't care about wars, and when my father was in Mariupol as a defender, I had to recognize that I need to do something to help my father. So under the rockets, you had to learn how to survive, how to help other people, how to learn human rights and such things.
So let's talk about your father, and you said he's a defender in Mariupol. Could you talk a little bit more about him and his work?
He was in military from 2015, and when his full-scale invasion starts, and rockets was in Odessa, in Kharkiv, everywhere in Ukraine, and Mariupol was almost occupied, so we almost hadn't a connection. So I had a hope that this will be finished very fast and he will come back, but I got only one call from him in March 2022, and after that I didn't have any information because he was captivated from Russians, and he actually still in captivity with other military defenders of Mariupol and from other locations. So actually it's one part of my work. It's a big part of my work because in Ukraine currently thousands families of captivated people. It's civilian, military, and some kids who was captivated. So we work to help military on front line, and we work to help military and civilian who captivated, because it's a very difficult situation with this, and people don't talk about that much.
It must be very difficult hearing that your father's in captivity.
Yeah, that's why we cooperate in Ukraine with the families of defenders and civilians to support each other. And we go to Europe, Council of Europe, Red Cross and such things to help our families, to help our beloved, because they don't have connection with us, and it's actually in human rights, captivated have to possibility at least send a letter to their families, and our families can't send a letter, so we really don't have information about their condition, about how was there, where there, because Russian like move from one jail to other jail, so sometimes we can't even know where is our beloved. So it's very tricky way how they do.
Let's talk about back to Taiwan. Why did you want to come to Taiwan, even knowing it's like I have to travel for 3 days nonstop?
Honestly, I was like worrying about what's going on in Taiwan here, so I wanted to share my experience, and when we did need support, and Taiwan support Ukraine, so we can't do much now, but we can share our experience and these important things too. So I was thinking that it deserved to come here to meet people, to like share my experience, because before full-scale invasion I didn't care that we have a war there, because it like Ukraine is a pretty big country and you don't feel that war is somewhere there. I think that people here in Taiwan, they try to don't think that it have possibility to like be invasion from China, and China training here all the time, even when we arrived here. After inauguration, I received this news that they training again, and people from Ukraine started like, Russian did training only 2 or 4 years, so be careful.
You've been here for the inauguration. It's been a very eventful week. You see what's happening in the legislature, and we also mentioned at the top of the show that there are some lawmakers that go to China. It's kind of like how some Ukrainian officials frequented Russia right before the invasion. What can you say about that? What do you think when you see that?
Oh, honestly, I remember my childhood, because I was young when things started in Ukraine. I finished my school only in 2013, and I remember that people in parliament had like fights, and I didn't understand what's going on. They just crazy, because I was very young, and now I see that it was a way when people who were patriots, who was fighting for our independence, and people who was cooperated business with Russia. It was just fight with them. And when I see what's going on here, like when people starting to vote with their hands without electronic system, I think like people here need to be more, more powerful and push on them, because if you go to China and you want to work with China and you bring some ideas and loves here to Taiwan from China, maybe you don't have to be like political for Taiwan. Maybe you prefer to work for China if you try to put their ideas here to work in Taiwan, because Taiwan is totally different from China. I can see that, and I think the world can see that too, because Taiwan is very democratic and very peaceful country, and China is totally other way.
So let's zoom out really quickly and talk about civil defense, because I can Google civil defense, but you have firsthand experience as a civil defender. So with that experience, what is civil defense?
It can be different, and it can transformate every time. When like war started, we had to only care about mostly about humanitarian support, about information support, about some kind of territory defense. But when war goes longer, we started to learn human rights and other ways how to protect people at the captivity, and some injured people, how to help military and civilian who who lost their legs, who lost their hands, how to help them to recovery. It's also mentally support, so it's very, very big field. And mental health have different fields too. Mental health for military, mental health for families of captivated, mental health for people from occupied territory. So every area have like more, so it's very big field.
It's a big field, and you're here talking about your civil defense experiences in Taiwan. How is Taiwan doing in terms of civil defense preparation?
I saw you have here a shelter, and it was actually after inauguration. I found the shelter, and I was, let me get in there. Even I was on heels and dressed very well for inauguration. Like I did go to this shelter, and for my opinion, it was totally not prepared because there was some water, there wasn't anything actually. You even can't sit there, you can't charge your phone there, nothing. So for my experience, I think you need to start like prepare it because you have also here like earthquake and such things, so it can be useful for different situations because when our war started, civilians had to prepare most of shelters by themselves, and the first months people tried like ignore that they have to do that, and because we had like a winter time, it was not so easy to do something. But when weather started to be more warm, everyone go out, and men with women started to prepare, do renovation because there was rats and such things. So we had to make it useful because you know, some people in your building can be old and sick. Some women can be pregnant, and if you will need to use it, it have to like be useful, not just area, dirty area with the water with like too high humidity. So you need to prepare it, and if you will not need to use it, super, that's great, but you are prepared.
Did you see anything else in Taiwan that made you think Taiwan needs to do more in order to prepare for civil defense?
I think it's kind of talk more how you can survive if no electricity, if no internet connection, if you like lost water, how to make filter it and such things. So a lot of things what you can prepare for. So just I think it would be very good, like Kuma Academy and like Watch Out and other organization here. They do like some books, some trainings and such things. And I think will be very nice to make some training camps so you can learn how to make fire, how cook outside without anything, because we saw that in Mariupol people had to melt the snow to have water, at least something. So you need to learn how to survive if something go wrong, because I heard that people here starting to worrying a lot if they don't have electricity for 5-10 minutes, and we don't have electricity now in Ukraine for each day for at least a few hours, and some days we was like for 24 hours or more without electricity at winter. So it's kind of difficult, but we know how to survive, how to prepare for this. So I recommend you like just try to imagine what can happen and what you can do to protect yourself in this case.
Well, it was so fascinating talking to you today, Kateryna, and learning about your insights and your experiences. It's been very eye-opening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you to Taiwanese people to support Ukraine, and we are ready to support Taiwan in all ways that we can for current moment.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, tune into our social media or check out our website. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leslie Liao.